Hey guys, what is up? So, to start with, yes, this is the new Childish Turbo Collection jumper that I bought on pre-sale, and it's really warm, it's really comfy, and I love it. And I don't know when everyone else is getting released, but I feel like I got mine early, because when I posted about it, no one else had. But I'm going to take this off because it's actually boiling underneath these lights. So today, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, still photography related, but a bad experience with photography. So, a few weeks ago, I went to an anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers protest in Birmingham, and I just did not have a good time at this protest. So whenever there's a protest on, I'm all down for going, checking it out, taking photos, do some interviews. This is the first protest that I have done any video interviews at, and I'm quite happy with the outcome, which you are going to see very soon. However, just the way I was treated at this protest, for given what the protest was about, being anti-maskers, when I was wearing a mask while the protest was going on, I got a lot of hate. I got people swearing at me. I've got people shoving their phones in my face, telling me that I'm stupid and that I'm going to die.
Stop breathing in that bacteria, it's killing you!
Actually, I can make a good meme out of this.
And it just wasn't really a nice experience. And given that these people were preaching freedom, and I was wearing a mask, which was my choice, kind of contradicts itself. So rather than me rambling on, I'm going to show you some of the footage, and I'm going to get into some of the photos that we took. So the camera that I was using at the protest was this here. This is my Ricoh SLX 500. It's a 35mm film camera, and I just wanted to capture this protest a little differently than just shooting on this massive Canon. To the anti-vaxxers protest, we bumped into another protest at Pigeon Park in Snow Hill, Birmingham, and it was an anti-Taliban protest. As from what I've heard, the Taliban have taken over Afghanistan. Our army, our military has pulled out of the country, and they've taken over. And people are protesting that they don't want the Taliban running their home country, which is fair enough. I wouldn't want them running my country either. So I took some photos of them with their signs, got a couple on my digital as well, and then we went down to the anti-vaxxers protest, which is instantly, as soon as we got there, I obviously had this camera on my side, I had the Ricoh around my neck, and I also had my shoulder rig on me to do interviews and to video while I followed the protest. The reason I was carrying all of this gear is because my cameraman on the day actually cancelled on me, and I had no choice but to, do everything as kind of a one-man crew, and I had Amber taking some photos for me as well. But yeah, the first thing they said on their megaphone was, "Hey you with the cameras, who do you work for? We don't want press here." Now, from my experience as a protest photographer, whenever there is a protest going on, they want media there, they want to have their voices heard. But at this one, they did not like me or Amber with our cameras at all. And it actually made for some quite nice images, I'm not gonna lie. So I got a couple on my film camera of these flags and of them starting their march. This is when I started taking photos. We kind of got there, it was very disorganized. We actually asked people what was going to happen, and no one seemed to know. There was no leadership at this protest. No one knew there was going to be a march. There was no talking, there was no speeches. It was just march, finish. So the main bit that I took photos of was at the march. Let's get on to the protest footage. Enjoy. So why were you here protesting today?
Not so much protest, well, it was obviously, but it's more support, showing support for people who want freedom of choice, sovereignty on their own bodies. I've got no problem with people wanting to do whatever they want in life, but as far as I'm concerned, it's all about pro-choice.
We do not want segregation, we want unity, we want love, we want freedom for all. We are not anti-vaxxers, we are pro-choice.
And what are your views on wearing masks and on the vaccine?
So to start with, beginning of last year, I bought into it all because I was quite worried. And then I realised that there are still no mask bins for a potential biohazard that's on your face all day. It's not good for you. I just, by the time we got to sort of May last year, May 2020, I'd kind of bought out of the whole idea of it. And then I've started to slowly realise that I think masks are actually a bad thing for us. If there's lots of pollution, obviously it's a good thing, but as far as the blue surgical masks go, the smallest thing that they can filter is way bigger than the biggest virus that exists. So those masks were always about catching mouth spit into an open surgery, because our plaque is worse than dog plaque and cat plaque, so any of our stuff will create an infection, so it's to stop spit transference. I understand that if there was something being transmitted. The fact that I've been out with loads of people all over the place and I haven't caught anything is either I've got a good immune system, I've already caught it and I've got natural immunity, or there isn't something as bad to catch as they're saying there is. I can't be sure on any of it, but what I can be sure of is wearing a mask all day, every day is not good for your health.
It seemed quite clear from, say, 6 months in that something wasn't quite right about the whole process. It was like, 3 weeks to flatten the curve, guys. That quickly got thrown out the window. Then it was, we're not going to have masks, and then we had masks, and then it was, you can take your mask off, so now you've got to wear them again. And it was like, there was zero logic to any of the process whatsoever in any nation. Well, there's a few countries that have done something sensible and not bothered with a lockdown. And we're...
Name the countries.
Well, was it Denmark didn't have a lock? I can't remember where. There was a few that didn't have a lockdown. Yeah, I can't remember specifically, but it's irrelevant to me. I just know
the population in Sweden and the deaths per population in Sweden. It matches up with ours quite comfortably, if not more.
Well, there you go. So it just shows how pointless. Well, even if it does, it'll show how pointless lockdowns are. Yeah, there's just too much stuff to suggest that it's dangerous. Like it's just far too, and regardless of whether it's true or not, we need to know. You can't just be like, well, I'll just take it and it'll be fine. It's like, well, we kind of want to know these things, you know. It's like when they're trying to make it so that your children. Well, I don't have children, unfortunately, but if I did, allowing them to get vaccinated without the parents' consent at the age of 12, I just think that's a bit wrong. You know? It's like they're not allowed to drink until they're 16. Oh, sorry, have sex until they're 16. They're not allowed to drink until they're 18, but they're allowed to. They are allowed to decide that they get a vaccine when they're 12. I just think.
Which has no long-term health data, does it?
No, the most important thing.
Yeah, it's a medical procedure.
So, I mean, even with like any kind of like social services, a child in social services can't make a choice until they're at the age of 16. Exactly. So how can a child actually choose to get vaccinated? Especially when a child at the age of 12 really doesn't understand what's going on in the world right now.
No. Of course, except they all get told that they're going to kill the grandparents. That's the issue.
Well, yeah, this is it. Indoctrinated into thinking that they're putting their entire family at risk by going to school.
This was all out there a year ago. The government put out things that said they need to exaggerate the risk in order to...
That is on the government website, and it will tell you about death and adverse reactions.
And what were your views on the lockdowns?
Lockdowns were the worst things of all. Implementing hand washings and mask wearings and social distancings was one thing. Even I bought into the ideology of it.
Yeah.
Locking everything down seems pointless, because if you're going to lock everything down, then you don't need to socially distance, you don't need to wear masks necessarily, you don't need to wash your hands all the time, because you're at home. It's just you and your dirt. So all of them combined don't make sense to me. Lockdowns to stop people spreading, fair enough. Masks and hand washing to stop people spreading, fair enough. All of it combined doesn't make sense. My biggest problem with the whole lockdown thing has been the introduction of the vaccines and mandates, stuff like that, because that's then brought into the narrative of vaxxed and unvaxxed. Now my problem with that is I've had polio, so I am vaxxed, not an anti-vaxxer, because I've got one in me. So how many do I have to refuse to become an anti-vaxxer, and how many do I have to become a vaxxer? So that again is another division that's just being played into the whole kind of narrative out there. It's and us and them. They're making us and them. Are you black or white? Are you mixed or are you this? Are you from this country or from somewhere else? Are you a man or a woman? Are you non-binary or binary? Are you vaxxed or unvaxxed? There's just too many situations for divide. So I think this has been. See you later, guys. I think this has been very divisive. So my problem with the lockdowns is that played into the division. Everybody, you close ranks naturally. We are humans. It's what we want to do, and it just promoted a lot of negativity from even positive sources. It's a real shame. Real shame the lockdowns happened, and they kept trying to perpetuate it.
Nonsense. The government shouldn't have the power to be able to do that. It just doesn't matter what the situation is. The government should not have the power to be able to lock down.
Like even in like the most, even in like completely stricken wartime, like even then, what they're suggesting and the powers that they're trying to use, even then I'd be a bit like, this is a bit risky. I mean,
if you give the government the power to do things like this every time there's a crisis, they'll make up crises so that they can
because they can monetize crises.
So that they can
control people more using crises and fear and just making people scared and just making them want to stay in their house because they're scared to breathe the air outside of their house. And you just think,
my girlfriend's mum almost had an anxiety attack when she went back into the supermarket after that was kind of allowed again. And I just feel people have been absolutely terrified to death by this thing that is actually a non-issue.
Yeah,
for the vast majority
for most people, it really is a non-issue unless you're of a certain age and you've generally already got some sort of health condition.
The whole thing of within 28 days of a positive test, that's such obvious. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Bullshit. I can't believe that the flu disappeared. There was no flu cases.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
There were lots of people who died within 28 days of a test.
Something like a 90% reduction in flu cases last year. It's like, that's strange. What a coincidence that is. It's like, it's so... It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out what's happening.
About this time last year, I thought it was legit. And I was, when the first lockdown happened, I was on board with that.
Yeah, likewise.
The thing that started me going, oh, something's not right about this, is when they started doing the mass PCR testing that was obvious nonsense. And they started plotting it on the same graph of cases as they had before. And it was such massive difference, massive amounts of cases when clearly there was not as much of an actual issue going on.
Yeah,
and that was the first thing that made me go, they're not telling the truth.
Yeah.
But then they kept not telling the truth.
Continually.
And then you start going, well, what else aren't they telling the truth about?
So that's it for that interview. It was cut a little bit short because they actually got asked to go and feature in a protest music video that was going on in the background. So yeah, the interview was cut short. So let's get into some of the photos that I took during the protest. The first half are going to be on film, and then at the end I'm going to show some that I took on my Canon. So I got this one. There's this woman holding a sign. Got the megaphone in there as well. There's a lot going on within this photo, and I actually took a photo of this lady holding the same sign back at Victoria Square, where the protest started as well, on my Canon. So moving on, it's a standard protest really. People holding the signs up, marching, trying to get their voice heard. Got megaphones. This was one of the guys here that was filming us for wearing masks. I can't even remember what he was saying on the megaphone, I'll be honest. It's a blur. But yeah, we were being filmed, people coming up in our faces and filming us, saying that they were going to make us into memes. And I don't know, I didn't feel there was any need for it, but hey, it's a protest. If you want to preach, you preach. There was a smoke grenade that got popped halfway through as we was outside the Apple store in Birmingham. And this is the only photo I grabbed of this. I believe Amber got a couple more photos that I'll insert now. I accidentally took a shot with my elbow, which is how it normally goes. And then this shot. This guy on his megaphone, who I actually interview later on, he said, "Oh, fuck you photographers with your masks," or something. Or, "Oh, fuck you photographer bastards," something like that. It wasn't very polite. And I got this quite powerful image of him with his megaphone, sticking his middle finger up, and I like it. I don't care that he was shouting and swearing at me in this photo, because it made it better. Again, no to vaccine passports. Some of what they protest I agree with. I don't believe that you should have to have a special extra piece of ID to go into a nightclub. To go abroad, you already have a passport, but then at the same time telling people that they can't wear masks because it's going to kill them. it's their choice. So I agree and disagree with a lot of what they were protesting about, but I'm not going to get into my views on this because this is a photography video, not a politics video. There was also a music video going on that day, which I filmed a little bit of, and these guys were all wearing anonymous masks. Not sure what the resemblance of the anonymous mask was, but they were all wearing them for the music video. This is the music video taking place, and then the rest of my photos are just throughout the day. I did some street photography afterwards, and that's about it. So thank you for watching this video. Yeah, that's my worst experience shooting a protest yet, and I don't think I'll be going to another anti-vaxxers protest anytime soon. Any other protests that you know of coming up in the news, let me know in the comments, say a couple days before, and I'll try and get down there, or on my Instagram, which is just here and linked below. Aside from that, in other news, I guess you could say, I have started making these. These are film canister keyrings, and I'm going to be selling these on an Etsy page, which I am still currently setting up. But it should hopefully be live when this video goes up, and I will leave a link to that in the description below. They're going to be £2.50 plus postage. If you would like one, head over to the store, purchase one, and it will be helping out the channel a lot. It will be helping me to travel, it will be helping me to shoot more film, and it will be helping me to kind of upgrade gear, purchase new cameras, and do more things with photography on the channel. There is other products coming soon, but I haven't made them yet. So keep an eye out on my Etsy page. Thank you for watching. Please like if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and comment why you did or didn't dislike it. It helps. Or what your views are on the masks and the vaccine passport. I want to know your views. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. But until then, keep shooting. Peace.